Hello everybody and welcome to another video. Now today I'm going to be looking at a band called Forefather. Not a band I've ever heard of before, so obviously, as is my usual, did a little bit of research and I found that Forefather is a two-man folk metal project from Surrey, England, founded in 1997 by brothers Wulfstan and Ethelstan. Can only assume that they're pseudonyms used for the band, because there was no surname for any of them, and that's all that I got. There is also some debate as to what the subgenre of music they belong to is. The band itself describes itself as Anglo-Saxon metal due to its themes and content on that subject. However, it often gets referred to as Viking metal, which appears to be an inaccurate description, but I'm assuming it's likened to a lot of Viking metal bands. To date, they have released 7 studio albums. So, they've been around since 1997, so they've been around for quite a while. Unusual that I've not heard of them. I've not heard anything of them or about them. So, I'm interested to see where this goes, given that it's Anglo-Saxon metal. Could be interesting, the fact that they often get mistaken for Viking metal. Give me some sort of rough idea as to what they might sound like, although they are described as a two-man folk metal band, so folk, Anglo-Saxon, Viking. There's a lot going on there. The song we're going to look at is a track called Doomsday Dawns. I haven't really found any information about the song, but I do have the lyrics, so I think we'll go straight to the track and see what happens. So, Forefather, Doomsday Dawns. Let's have a look. Very interesting. Now, I love the way the track opened, that beautiful, almost ethereal piece of music that opened the track, and it's really, really nice piece of music. And then it burst into those guitars. Now, I can kind of see where the Viking metal vibe has come from, but it's not very Viking metal-y, if that makes any sense. The song itself, I'm not entirely sure what it's about. I can only imagine that it is something to do with war. That's all I can gather from it at this present moment. Excuse me. Now, the song opens with, "Doom is awaiting with fire and pain, plague is upon us and here to remain. Gods or grave right bring no cure to this blight, forfeit is land and the sea." So doom is awaiting with fire and pain, plague is upon us and here to remain. So that essentially sounds like war. Doom is awaiting with fire and pain, so it's like a war is approaching and it's just going to bring fire and pain, is going to be death and misery. Plague is upon us and here to remain. War can be likened to a plague in a way because, well, it kills lots of people and they go on for years. Carries on, "Sanctuaries are plundered and the just are despised, turning our faces from wisdom and pride, ashamed of the good but exult in misdeeds, victory less indignity." So sanctuaries are plundered, the just are despised, turning our faces from wisdom and pride. So I'm not really sure where they're going with this, because turning our faces from wisdom and pride, that's like acting on impulse and not thinking about things logically, just, not caring about the logic of the situation and just doing whatever comes as a knee-jerk reaction. Ashamed of the good but exult in misdeeds. So they seem to take pleasure in doing evil. I mean, are they talking about being attacked, maybe? That's all I can imagine. And it goes, "And we are not ashamed, and we are not ashamed." Then goes, "Denouncing allegiance, our bonds are betrayed, contriving our laws from our lust, forsaking our care by the word and the deed, thus we have earned our deserts, awaiting the fall." So, denouncing allegiance, our bonds are betrayed, so it sounds like maybe it is, they're saying war is awaiting, war is coming, so maybe they're talking about a tribe or an army that they were allied with who have now sort of turned and stabbed them in the back and are attacking them. Which is where that last thing comes from, turning our faces from wisdom and pride, ashamed of the good but exulting in misdeeds. So it sounds like another army that was once their friend has turned around, stabbed them in the back and attacked them, possibly. And with that line, they're awaiting the fall, awaiting the inevitable, where they're going to be overrun by this army because they might be outmatched, outnumbered, possibly, I don't know. And then it came in with the cleaner vocals, the sort of more folk-like vocals. It says, "So alas for the misery, and alas for the great disgrace. Now we're facing the arrows of truth. Let us ride out, heading for death. Winter will summon us all." So alas for the misery, so obviously they're lamenting the fact that they're in the middle of war, lamenting the fact that maybe this army has turned on them. We're now facing the arrows of truth, so, facing the truth that this army has turned on them, and they're saying, "Let us ride out, heading for death." They know that they're heading for pretty much impending doom, because of, again, like I said, they might be outmatched, outnumbered. And it says, "Winter will summon us all." Winter probably here used as a can't think of the word I'm looking for. You know, as a way of describing death. You know, you could even liken it to the Game of Thrones reference, "Winter is coming," which is essentially saying death is coming our way. So winter will summon us all, so death will summon us all. That's the best I can make out of it so far. I do have some other points I'd like to make about it, but I'll wait until after the song has finished. Let's carry on and see where this goes. Well, there we go. That was Doomsday Dawns by Forefather. Now, the song carried on. False-hearted tricksters and high-ranking thieves, treason and lawlessness spread like disease. The noble stand silent while evil succeeds, burdened with death's final toll. So, this almost sounds like the corruption of government in its own little way, because it's like false-hearted tricksters and high-ranking thieves. Well, high-ranking thieves sounds like the government anyway. Treason and lawlessness spread like disease, so it's like a lot of treason and lawlessness. You know, people turning against each other and committing whatever crimes it is they need to survive. And it says the noble stand silent while evil succeeds. It's like the higher ups, the governments, the royalty and stuff. They're just sort of standing to one side and watching as, like, everybody, basically the town devours itself and crumbles in on each other because they're like, we don't want to get our hands dirty. It doesn't affect us in any way. We're still going to be rich anyway, so just let them destroy themselves. More money for us. Yay. And then it carried on. And thus, my friends, I beg of you to hear this somber plea, to stand your ground through hopelessness and cold adversity, to bow to justice, make amends with harsh reality, or choose to take the mountain road, forever doomed to flee, lest we perish forever. So, the first part of that is, thus, my friends, I beg of you to hear this somber plea, to stand your ground through hopelessness and cold adversity. So, that sounds like turning around to someone and going, look, can you please stand with me, stand up against this corruption, stand up against these people who are attacking us, these treacherous people who have turned their back on us and attacked us, stabbed us in the back. Stand with me, fight forward, stand for what you believe in. Believe in. And it says, bow to justice and make amends with harsh reality. So it's like, bow to justice, so like follow the law, let law be put upon these people that have turned to, like, deception and crime and, that have betrayed us as such. Follow the law, let law come down on these people, and, stand your ground with me. And it says, or choose to take the mountain road, forever doomed to flee. So it's like, you can either stand with me or you can just run away, essentially being cowards, always running away from everything, all the evil and stuff that you might encounter. You're just going to run away forever, and it's not going to do you any good. And then it came out with the chorus again, that, so alas for the misery and alas for the great disgrace, now we're facing the hours of truth, let us ride out, heading for death, winter will summon us all. And then it repeated, this is the end, over and over again at the end of the song. So the actual song itself I quite liked. The music itself I thought was really, really good. It was really quite catchy. It was really an enjoyable piece of music. However, the vocals, they were quite good, but they were pretty weak, I think is the word I'm looking for. They sort of, there wasn't enough prominence to them, they were sort of almost drowned out by the music, if that makes any sense. There wasn't any sort of power or strength behind it. It almost sounded like someone mumbling, as it were, the vocals. And, I mean, the clean vocals, the sort of very folksy sort of like vocals, they were very clean. You could hear them very, very clearly. They cut through the music really, really well. But the harsher, growled vocals, they seemed, like I said, they seemed to sort of disappear into the music, which was unfortunate. They didn't have very much strength behind them. I mean, obviously they're doing something right. I mean, they've been going since 1997 and they've released 7 albums. It could be, as I've said many times, this could be an outlier of a track where, this, I don't know what year this album's from. This might be one of the early ones before they figured out, like, all the balancing and recording settings. I don't know. But like I say, it was an enjoyable track. There was just a little bit going with the vocals that didn't work very well. Like I said, they just sort of faded into the background. But like I said, the music was brilliant. It was really enjoyable, and the opening piece of music, that really sort of ethereal piece of music, was beautiful. It was amazing. So I think this is another band I will have to revisit someday, because, as I've always said, I'm not going to judge a band just by one example of their music, because it could very well be that the track that I've been suggested or the track that I've listened to could be an outlier of a track. It could possibly be like the worst track of theirs. It could be not the best example of their work. So, you know, the more tracks of theirs I hear, the better sort of overall impression I get of the band. So I will have to revisit them again someday. But I'm going to leave that at that, I think. If anybody would like to suggest a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or you can message me on my Facebook or my Instagram. The links for those are in the description below. Or you could even message me on my Patreon, which is where this suggestion came from. If you so choose, there is a link for my Patreon in the description below, and there is a tag on the end of the video as well. Do know, though, if you do suggest a track, it will take me a while to get around to it. Since, you know, I get suggested dozens and dozens of tracks every single day, and my list of tracks grows faster than I can record them. But rest assured, I do write down every suggestion I get given. It will just take me a while to get around to it, but it will get done eventually. Also, Metalhead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. They are a British-based charity whose main goal is to put an end to hate crimes, mostly those involving people of the alternative subculture, whether it's listening to alternative music or dressing in alternative fashion. It's something that I think really needs to be addressed, something that really needs to be brought to the forefront, because, you know, we hear every day about every other kind of hate, many other kinds of hate crimes, not every other one, obviously. But, you know, on a daily basis, we hear something about racism or sexism or homophobia, transphobia, religious hatred, things like this. We hear about them on an almost daily basis, whether it's on the news, in TV programs, on social media, you know, wherever. We hear something about a hate crime somewhere every single day. But we very rarely hear about the fact that people are getting attacked every single day, violently attacked, verbally, physically. You know, these people are getting beaten because of their taste in music and the way that they choose to dress. And it's unbelievable. You know, someone's taste in music is not an excuse to attack them. You know, just because you don't like the music they listen to, it gives you no right to attack anybody. You know, what effect does it have on your life? It's nothing really. It doesn't affect you in any way. So why do you think it's an okay thing to attack someone? You know, it makes no sense. It's like beating someone up because they like different flavour ice cream or crisps to you. It's beating someone up because they like Pepsi instead of Coca-Cola. You know, it makes no sense. You know, you wouldn't beat someone up because they like Tango instead of Fanta, would you? It's basically the same logic. Just because they like something different to you, it's not an excuse to attack them. You know, and people are, like I say, getting beaten to within an inch of their life because of this, and it needs to get more attention brought onto it, because, you know, the whole reason the Sophie Lancaster Foundation came into being is because a young woman was beaten to death because of the way she dressed. You know, she was set upon, her and her boyfriend were set upon by a group of youths they'd never met before. They were complete strangers. And they, just because of the way they were dressed, they were jumped and attacked and beaten to death. I mean, the boyfriend survived, thankfully, but Sophie Lancaster herself died as a result of the injury she sustained from this attack. You know, it's unacceptable. Just because of the way she was dressed. You know, and she was one of the nicest people you could ever meet. You know, she would speak to anybody. She would give you the time of day. You know, she was a lovely, lovely person, and just because she had some piercings, just because she wore alternative clothing, she was beaten to death. And it's unacceptable. And, you know, it shouldn't have taken the death of this young woman for people to turn around and start thinking, hold on, this is wrong, something needs to be done. It should be a no-brainer. This sort of thing should, you know, be automatically ingrained in anybody from birth. I mean, nobody is born with prejudices. Nobody is born with like hatred for race, colour, creed, musical taste. Nobody's born that way. It's something that is taught. And it's a disgrace to anybody that lets their child grow up to be that sort of person, any kind of bully, any parent that lets their child grow up to be a bully, it's a disgrace, and it's something that really, really needs more attention, and I think it's very, very worthwhile, because I myself, I've been attacked numerous times just because of the way I dress and the music I choose to listen to. Many of my friends have. I know some of you have also encountered such discrimination just because of the music you listen to and the way that you dress, and it needs more attention brought onto it. Something needs to be done. And this is what Sophie Lancaster Foundation is all about. They want to put an end to all of this. And if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there is a link to the website in the description down below. You can pop over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their main goal is, because they can explain it better than I can, because I go off on random tangents. Excuse me. And if you can help them in any small way, even if it's something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or even that one if you so much fancy it. They've got other stuff there like beanie hats and stickers and shirts, I believe. Any little bit that you can do to help them makes a big difference, and it's really important. And they need more support. This needs to be brought to the forefront so we can stamp out prejudice, hatred and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.